Hello, and welcome to my channel. Today I am going to show you just a little bit of muzzle work on this sweet dog. I don't even want to try and attempt to say what breed this is. I want to say blue heeler, some sort of spaniel. I don't know. Anyway, the point is, I want to show you how I did the muzzle work, especially for this kind of peaches and cream situation we've got going on here. It's a very special, distinct texture, and I just want to show you how I accomplished that. And so strap in, grab something to eat or drink, and enjoy this little mini workshop while I do what I love best, which is painting dogs in watercolor. Enjoy. Well, I am ready to move on to the muzzle, and here's where we're going to kind of do I'm going to call it peaches and cream. This one, practice it first. Please, please, please practice this one first, because we need to create something that, and squint at your reference on this. Don't worry about the little hairs, just focus on texture and color. So what do I mean by that? I'm going to give you a actual representation of what it looks like when I squint my eyes. So I'm going to duplicate this, and I'm going to do something called Gaussian blur, and I'm just going to blur this to show you what I see with my eyes when I blur. I know that sounds stupid, but here it is. It's blurred. Look at the muzzle now. Okay, we're trying to create this color and texture pattern. Now that we've taken away the detail of every little hair, we can kind of go, oh, okay, I'm going to leave more of the white of the paper here, but I'll do a little more of that orange color here. And to show you before and after. So you see all those little hairs, we could totally get distracted and lost and want to do every little hair. Now you can do some hairs. That's fine. We've talked about doing little groupings of hairs. That's super fun to do. But I want to simplify this as much as possible. So here's where we really want to do some wet and wet. I'll zoom you back in. And we'll just start with the left side. And you're just going to wet the area on the muzzle. We're just going to do half at a time. So we'll call his little mustache our boundary line. And it's okay if you add water over it just a little bit where that little mustache is going to be. All right, I've mixed my color already. I'm playing around with transparent red and transparent yellow oxides. And I wanted to create something a little bit more peachy creamy. And I'm going to start near the nose and just start at putting that in. I'm putting it in kind of where it's the most intense for starts. And I'm being very gentle about that. And if you look at the reference, you will notice that this kind of like comes down this more reddish area. And you can keep adding a little more here and there if needed, because as it dries, you know how it goes. Down here is a little darker. Oh, I like that. And then I'm going to leave that alone for a second. Now, something you can do to encourage that beautiful granulation is drop in some water very gently and delicately, barely touching the bristles of my brush to my paper. I'm going to go over here and wet the other side. Same thing. Go up, because the red actually kind of comes across the bridge of the nose. And so we don't want to forget that. I'm going to go ahead and drop that in. Drop in here and there. Now I'm kind of on the dry paper, and that's okay. Sometimes I get distracted. I'm going to rinse my brush, dab it on my towel, and now I'm going to use just water to encourage things to spread. This is probably right now looking a little more orange than you want. That's okay. It's going to dry lighter. If it's too much, we'll lift it. I like what it's doing, so I don't want to remove it. It is really pretty. I'm going to soften some of that. And I'll just let it dry. You know what? I am going to drop a little bit of, I want to encourage these pigments to play, to do their thing, their little pigmenty thing that they do. And then while this one's drying, I can see areas where I might want to increase pigment strength. So I'll just, excuse me, I'll just drop in a little bit more. Even though the reference isn't quite this bright, I'm okay with it. I really like to bring out the colors on the animal and not dull them down too much. I'm sure you guys have seen those artists who make really colorful animals. It's really fun, and that's something I'm interested in. And so I'm kind of toying with popping the saturation just a little bit for starts. And it's good to let this dry naturally if you can, because we want to encourage this granulation to really do what it's meant to do naturally and settle into the texture of your paper. Okay, it's nice and dry, and I'm just looking at the reference photo, and I kind of see some like blushes of more brown through here and here. So I just want to add another layer, and I think wet and wet will be good for this. So let's come back over here and let's just gently wet it. So if you are heavy-handed in this part and you keep going over the same area that you already wet, you will lift pigment. So that's why I use these really soft brushes. I'm literally just softly putting down water. So let's see. I'm going to grab some Lunar Black. Let me just test this before I do it. I always like to test it on my scrap paper. Yeah, I don't think the Lunar Black would be a good idea. So you can grab some burnt umber, or you can take some transparent red oxide and do that mixture with the Lunar Black to create kind of a brown color. And it needs to be really light. This is very vital. So I'm looking right here. I want some really light touches. Once again, looking at that blurred reference photo, I want to know where these go. I don't want them to be perfect circles or little fireworks, so I'm going to kind of take my finger and dab them around. And then down here, I see a lot more of that. Especially down here at the bottom, as that blends into black. And then we also have this here. And you can darken this. All right. And then I'm going to come over to the other side and do the same thing, although this side has less of that brown color happening. I will say really fast, I want to add some more of the orange up here and there. And you can add more over here if you want to. And dab with your finger. Ooh, I love the texture it gives. It's beautiful. And then while it's wet, it can be fun to take the tip of your brush and kind of just play around gently with those pigments. Let them do their thing. I just love the way it looks. All right, make sure this is all wet the way I want it. And then I'll take some of our brown mixture we just made, and I'll just add, I know I'm not leaving as much white as I'm supposed to on this. I can already tell. I'm not super worried about it. If it was somebody's dog, like if this was a commission, I am a little more like OCD about making sure that I'm echoing exactly where everything is. And we can, if we're worried about it, I can go ahead and lift. Like so much of this can be lifted. I hope you enjoyed that little excerpt from one of my past workshops, and I hope that that was helpful for you. If you have any questions or comments, throw them down below. I love to read your guys' comments. It makes my day. Anyway, I am just really grateful that you're here, and I hope you have an amazing week.